I'd like to call this meeting to order, and tonight we have the presentation of colors and the Pledge of Allegiance by Irwin High School, and our cadets are instructed by Chief Tony Gutierrez. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Right. Face. Forward. March.
As I ask you to stand for a moment of silence tonight, I would like to focus you on the devastation that our community has experienced at Parkland in Florida. And as we do that, I want us to remember that when it happens to one of us, it happens to all of us. Thank you. You may be seated. I'm looking for approval of the agenda with a motion to amend the consent agenda to include the quitclaim item conveyance of Montford property to Asheville City Schools. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's now time for our superintendent's comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since the tragic events that occurred at Stoneman Douglas High School, there's been some significant discussions that have been focused on safety in schools that have taken place all across our country. And with our own Buncombe County schools, our safe school teams that are made up of teachers, administrators that sit side by side with local first responders, fire departments, law enforcement, emergency management. They've been meeting to review and meeting in many cases at schools on multiple occasions to review the safety protocol that currently exists inside that school. And I want to make our parents and community shareholders aware that our district website has a communication from me that I would encourage you to read. It provides an overview of the activities and the procedures that are dedicated to safety that we have in place. Now, needless to say, there are operations inside that school and there are details that we cannot make public for obvious safety reasons. But it's an attempt to give, again, our public an overview of the precautions, the preparedness, the response that we continue to focus on within our schools. While we improve our ability to prevent, to mitigate, to prepare and respond to any emergency, it remains our highest of priorities, but an emphasis on increasing everyone's awareness of their environment from a safety standpoint is, in my opinion, one of the most extremely important skills that all of us can focus on to prevent a crisis versus responding to one. And there is a huge difference. Reporting threatening communications that are heard, and parents, that definitely includes social media as a vehicle, or behaviors that are seen. And I think I heard in Parkland several commentators reference see something, hear something, say something. is a valuable habit, again, that all of us, students and adults alike, can adopt. And for those of you parents out there, I think you can be proud of what's taking place inside Buncombe County Schools, at least, in terms of our students taking that to heart. Because our administrators have certainly had some incredible conversations with students. And I had one high school principal, we've had several meetings with all of our principals since that event, but one principal said this, that if there is a silver lining in this horrible tragedy and this deep, dark cloud, it is the quality of the conversations that are taking place, especially between our students and our teachers and principals. So I think we can all be proud of that in terms of what our students are doing. In relation to the Parkland tragedy, the Women's March organization has called nationally for a 17-minute classroom walkout to take place on March 14th, and that's to protest gun violence. We continue to be in discussions at the district level, again with all of our principals, regarding the structure that we will have in place that day. And while we recognize the significance of those events, and especially in terms of our students' voice and advocacy, from a civic standpoint, how important is that for our newest generation? And while we recognize that significance, safety has to be considered first and foremost. So we will be communicating through our schools, through our principals, a very clear message to our students, to our staff, and to our parents later next week regarding the event. So please stay tuned and rest assured that we are having a lot of discussions, and we are looking at that particular day and how best to structure opportunities that balance that safety with a very, very valuable experience for all of our students. I want to thank our commissioners, our county commissioners, for visiting the ProStart culinary program. Several of our board members went with them through the tours. They also visited preschool labs at 3 of our high schools. And we're so proud of the wonderful things that are going on in our career tech classrooms, career tech ed classrooms. And speaking of career development, the week of March 26th, and I see some middle school staff out there, that's going to be Students at Work Week. And what we do is we take middle school students across the county and we give them opportunities firsthand to visit workplaces, and some of those areas are health, hospitality, and advanced manufacturing. So I don't see Mrs. Cheek here, but a big thanks to her, because as you can imagine, if you're starting to coordinate something like that for all of our middle schoolers, that is a huge job, and she does it extremely well. So thanks to Christy for making that happen. An update on the K-3 classroom size mandate. You've heard us talk about that for several months, almost said years. I guess that's true too. The governor has now made House Bill 90. He has signed that into law. And what it does for us is it puts that class size ratios, it actually puts them going gradually into effect over a 3-year period, so that the full mandate doesn't take place until 2021-22. So I want to publicly thank the legislature and our governor for providing this sequenced effect. That is a huge sense of relief from the standpoint of our budget board. It's not something that I think we can hold off for 3 years and then decide we're going to determine what strategy is going to be used, but it gives us an opportunity to talk budget strategy over multiple years to see that full mandate go into effect. All of this, again, has budget implications for our board. We also found out through this law that we're going to be receiving some funding from the state for program enhancement teachers, and program enhancement translates into our art, our music, our health and physical education, and our world languages. And that money is going to be dedicated to those teachers at at the grade levels of kindergarten through 5th grade. So as we get more information about how that precisely impacts Buncombe County schools, we'll be discussing that in some budget strategies. That concludes my comments. Madam Chair.
Thank you, sir. The next item on the agenda is the curriculum feature. Ms. Swanger.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Baldwin, members of the board. This is the Laura and Laura show, first and foremost, to help me recognize fabulous teachers that are in the audience this evening. We had the pleasure of dining earlier with them, but tonight we're going to talk about what makes a nationally board certified teacher. In your strategic planning session, you mentioned those numbers. So I've asked Laura to tell you what our numbers are, but more importantly, to reinforce that we are still in the top 20 in the nation for the numbers of nationally board certified teachers. And sitting before you, you will get the chance to meet these wonderful educators in just a minute. Let me introduce Laura Meyer. Laura is a high school literacy coach. She goes into our high schools and works with several different areas of curriculum, does a fabulous job, but her passion has always been national board certification support for her peers. So she does this as one of her areas of expertise, and I'd like for you to meet Laura Meyer.
It is an honor to be here for tonight's recognition of our National Board Certified teachers, both new and renewed. Our new NBCTs are true trailblazers. They embarked on a process that is brand new. 3 years ago, the National Board introduced its newly designed certification system, and they rolled it out in phases. Because it took 3 years for all components to be released, those 3 years went by with no new certifications, no new NBCTs in Buncombe County, North Carolina, or any other district or state. And that's why you may have seen the drop in NBCT numbers countrywide. With this class of NBCT, certification is now open again, and it can be earned in a single year or up to 3 years. Throughout this rollout period, as Ms. Swanger said, Buncombe County Schools has maintained its role as a leader in national board certification. Our school system remains, as it has for over a decade, in the top 20 districts nationwide for number of NBCTs teaching its students. At 563 National Board Certified teachers, Buncombe County ranks 17th in the nation, topping districts such as Winston-Salem Forsyth, Dallas, New Orleans, and Boston Public Schools. Making this ranking even more remarkable is that North Carolina's new and renewed NBCTs pay for the process themselves at a cost of $1,200 to $1,800. There are some school systems in North Carolina that have been able to designate funds to assist teachers in this process. As you can see, the teachers sitting before you tonight rose to many challenges over the past 3 years. Now I'd like to introduce you to one of these trailblazing teachers, newly certified NBCT Laura Mitchell, art teacher at North Buncombe and A.C. Reynolds Middle Schools. Among other honors and distinctions, Laura has been recognized as the North Buncombe District Teacher of the Year, has earned the North Carolina Digital Educator Badge, and has been named a Hilton Teacher Travel Trek runner-up, which awarded her a trip to Kenya to visit schools and make global connections for her students. She is the epitome of a National Board Certified teacher. Please join me in welcoming Laura Mitchell.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Ms. Swanger, Dr. Baldwin, board, and community. I'm pleased to be here tonight, and thank you for taking this time to honor us in this moment in our teaching careers. No matter our subject area or grade level we teach, National Board Certified teachers are all bound together by the National Board propositions. We are committed to our students and their learning. We're masters of our subjects. We understand how to teach our subject to each and every student. We are responsible, and we are systematic thinkers as we learn from our experiences. We are also passionate members of learning communities locally, nationally, as well as globally. And the National Board process is not one to consider lightly. It is time-consuming, rigorous, and forces one to be very, very honest about their teaching practice. My certification was in early adolescent through young adult art. But no matter what our certification area was or what grade level we teach, we had to pass 4 components. And the first one was content knowledge, where we had to go to a testing site, and I had to take, first there was the multiple choice part, which was 40 questions. And this is proving you know your subject area, as well as write 3 essays. And I think one of the takeaways from that was the reminder of how awfully much anxiety comes with taking a test like that, and it reminded me of what our students go through for the EOGs and the end of grade testing, and so that was a good thing for us to experience. The second part was differentiation and instruction, and I followed 2 students with very different needs and abilities through a unit, and through a storyboard and writing, had to analyze them and analyze myself, my planning, instruction, and assessment. The third component was the video component, and this one is about our teaching, practice, and learning environment. We had to submit 2 10 to 15-minute videos, and this was probably perhaps the most painful part, was watching yourself teach and seeing all of the mistakes that you make along the way, but it gives you the opportunity to reflect and to look and to see what we can do better, and you also got to see the students who were getting it, and you saw the glimmer in their eye, and you knew that you were reaching them. The fourth component is effective and reflective practice, and this was proving that I really, really know my students and that I could show the evidence that I collaborate with families and with caregivers. It's also about showing how we use assessment data and how we use it to positively impact our students. And also, it shows how we contribute to the greater community, which is something I feel very passionately about in my art education teaching. North Carolina Board Certified Teachers are leaders in our schools. We're dedicated to our students, and most likely a little bit of the overachiever type to take this on while teaching as well. The thing people may not know about board certified teachers is the fact that when we drive away from school, we're constantly analyzing. We are constantly tearing apart the lessons that we taught that day and trying to figure out how to teach them better. We think about that student that we saw the look in their eye, and we know we've got to get back with the school counselor. We love school. We are advocates for our profession. We want to read the school improvement team minutes so that we know what's going on if we're not serving on the school improvement team. We look forward to our state conferences so that we can share information and learn from others, and so that we can stay fresh and on top of the latest research. And the process, personally, for me, was the best professional development that I could have gifted myself. I definitely have always analyzed my teaching, and I don't teach the same lesson the same way twice. But after going through this process, I've learned how to delve even deeper. I learned how to better analyze formative assessment data, learn the importance and the great need to reach out to the whole team of people that make up our students' lives, in the school, their families, and in the community. And the National Board certification process emphasizes being a teacher leader, collaborator, and a reflector. And this process has encouraged me to take it even further. I've taken bigger leadership roles on the board of the North Carolina Art Education Association. I've been more willing to step outside of myself and ask for help from my colleagues, and also to offer my help to colleagues. And this process helps you to realize at a more profound level that you're not a perfect teacher. And knowing this causes one to be super uber reflective. This is the beauty of National Board Certification. National Board Certified Teachers are lifelong students. We love learning. So I am so grateful to the teachers who went through this process before me. So congratulations to those of you tonight who passed your renewals. And your dedication and continued growth and commitment is very inspiring. And thank you for helping us newbies, as we journeyed through it for the first time with tips. Get 2 binders, highlight, write what you already do in the margins, write well, address the standards, be real, dig deep, get someone to read it, rewrite, breathe, go outside, and keep on teaching. This is no fluffy certificate. It is a process that is life-changing. I am proud to be a National Board Certified Teacher and joining the ranks of teachers who know their subjects, know their students, are actively collaborating in national and global teaching profession. I applaud all of you who have become certified, who have renewed, and who will pursue your national board certification. It is one of the reasons that make Buncombe County Schools one of the best in our state and in the nation. North Carolina leads our country in national board certified teachers, as Laura said. And may you all go forward and lead the way. You are amazing. And thank you for believing and supporting us, board. Dr. Baldwin, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Laura. At this time, we are going to ask each of our MBCTs to come forward and receive a beautiful plaque. So if we are going to start with the Robertson District, so Ms. Churchill and Dr. Baldwin, will you join us for photos in the middle, please? In absentia, Jennifer Larson from T.C. Robertson High School and Andrew Devine from T.C. Robertson High School. Jennifer Borden, Avery's Creek Elementary School, congratulations. McDonald, Avery's Creek Elementary School. In absentia, Emily Charette from T.C. Robertson High School. Next, from Avery's Creek Elementary, Omar Loomis. Congratulations.
They're all busy. Two.
Laura Keychuk from T.C. Robertson High School. Congratulations.
On safety.
Ben Boyd from T.C. Robertson High School. Please join me in a round of applause for the T.C. Robertson MBCTs.
Everyone look at Ben. Please don't blink and everybody smile.
And would you join Dr. Baldwin, and we'll recognize the Owen District.
Thank you.
In absentia, we have Cindy Sturdivant from Owen Middle School and Dawn Rookie from Owen High School. Welcome, Kimberly Schenkel from Charles D. Owen High School. In absentia, we have James Munn from Owen Middle School, Joy Innabet from Black Mountain Elementary, Jessica Telfair from Black Mountain Elementary, Ashley Beauregard from Owen High School, Jamie Height, Owen High School, Michelle Allison, Owen High School, Kelly Pritchard, Williams Elementary, and we have Sarah Swan, Owen Middle School.
Meg wanted us to know she had a baby yesterday, which is why she's not here.
Michelle.
Jane
Jane.
Height.
Mr. Height had a baby yesterday. That's why he's not here. So his wife had a baby.
I started to say.
Let's congratulate our Owen MBCTs.
I wonder who left this for me.
You think it was intentional?
Next, we will recognize the Reynolds District. Cindy McMahon will come forward with Dr. Baldwin. In absentia is Angela Mace from AC Reynolds High School. We have Heather Razor from AC Reynolds Middle School. Lee Armistead from AC Reynolds High could not be with us this evening. Bruce Hutchinson from AC Reynolds High School. His second renewal. So is that 20 years? Yes. 20 years of this process. You are the veteran.
Indeed.
Claire Shippey from Hall Creek Elementary. David Spisak from AC Reynolds High School. Suzanne Hinesley couldn't be with us from Hall Creek, so next is Allison Lawing from Fairview Elementary. And Laura Mitchell from AC Reynolds Middle School and North Buncombe Middle School. And Jillian Tart Snyder from AC Reynolds Middle School. Congratulations to our Reynolds District NBCT. Names of the Irwin District teachers. They couldn't be with us this evening, Mr. Bryant. So we have Leanna Delph from Eblin Intermediate School, Kirsten McDonald from Emma Elementary, and Louise Hall from West Buncombe Elementary. Next, we have the Inca District, Mr. Queen. And you're all here. That's fabulous. Andrea Sellers from Candler Elementary. Carla Shipman from Candler and Emma Elementary. Shalyn Murray from Candler Elementary. Karen Waldrop from Inca Intermediate, excuse me.
Are you batting?
Tara Ross Mowry from Candler Elementary.
Are you batting?
And Molly Carter from Fisk Elementary.
Everybody on that. Wait, take one step this direction. There it is. Right here again.
Congratulations. Ms. Franklin, let's recognize the North Buncombe District. In absentia is Barbara Budatisawan at North Windy Ridge Intermediate and Jenny Zimmerman from North Buncombe High School. So we have Dr. Jamie Johnson representing North Buncombe Middle School. One of our administrators also seek recertification. In absentia, Rebecca Miller from North Buncombe Elementary. Next is Shelley Cloninger from North Buncombe Middle School. Angela Wolf from North Buncombe Elementary. Elizabeth Thomas from North Buncombe Middle could not be with us this evening. We have Tracy Kirkendall from North Buncombe High School. Suzanne Yunt from Central Office Special Services. Congratulations to our North Buncombe MBCTs. Again, thank you for all that you do for our students each and every day. We are in awe of your accomplishment. You chose to do this, and thank you so much on behalf of Buncombe County Schools.
On
Board, do you
behalf
have
of
any
our
questions?
students.
And exactly. Do you have any questions for Laura or about the process?
As always, I am so proud of what you do, and it is a process that when you're going through it, you feel like it's never ending. But look at those heads. But as a former teacher and also as a board member, I appreciate your dedication and what you've done to improve yourself, but for your students as well. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you. It is now time for public comment. I believe we have two, is that correct? Can you call their name?
Two for public comment.
Yes, sir?
Yep, and our first one is Trinity Justice on the topic of school safety.
Okay.
My name is Trinity Justice. I'm a junior at Owen High School, and I'm advocating for school safety and gun law extenuations. Fear is inevitable. 8 instances in the 2 months that have occurred in this year in which a firearm has been brought onto a school campus and fired, putting children's lives in danger. The fear that is created in these innocent children is inevitable. The school shooter in the massacre that occurred on February 14th, the day celebrating love, shall remain nameless because he deserves to remain nameless. It took him less time to purchase that firearm than it would take one to order a pizza and have it delivered to his house. But if the people at the gun shows, the people who articulated to him that he could easily acquire accessories to make his gun fully automatic, knew of his obvious mental illness, would they have stopped him? Donald Trump received $30 million from the National Rifle Association funding his campaign. Should we expect him to stop the shooter? Would the dozens of fat cat politicians who gladly donate at the door for the NRA have stopped him? These actions are an example for all of us and should be a warning to you. Students are increasingly putting their lives at risk in order to get a public education. The victims from Stoneman Douglas High School, the victims from Sandy Hook Elementary School, the victims from Columbine High School, and so many more other victims who have fallen to the fault of nameless terrorists, victims who have suffered through senseless tragedies because of insufficient gun regulations, have seen that fear. And I, as a high school student, walking through the halls of my public high school, experienced that fear because of the increasing amount of gun violence throughout schools in our nation. Fear is inevitable, but we know a better way. We know that love is a better way, peace is a better way, mental health treatment is a better way. And as you all probably already know, we as a student body at Owen High School, we as a community in Buncombe County Schools, and we as one with our nation will come together and stand for school safety, and I encourage you to join. When we as high school students across the nation stand together and walk out of our schools into the streets to where we call downtown, we will use our love to fight that hate. We will stand together and walk into a new era, a safer era, a more knowledgeable era, because fear is inevitable, but it shouldn't have to be, and we will be the change. We should never be afraid of acquiring an education because knowledge trumps gun violence. Thank you.
And our second public comment of the evening is Mr. Joel Luchek of Asheville, also on school safety.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My question and comment tonight is also on school safety and the recent shootings. I'm a father of 2 kids in Buncombe County School, and I appreciate your comments moments ago in your opening comments on how you will address the general protest and walkout on the 17th. And I had a question further of the general, larger nationwide walkout on April the 20th, and how the county is going to respond to that, and whether or not there will be any disciplinary actions taken against the kids, and how the kids will be kept safe if they do leave school property or go outside for a moment of silence. And I just wanted to let you know that there's a lot of parents out there that fully support this school and the work that you guys do to keep our kids safe every day. We appreciate it very much every day, but we also very much oppose arming teachers and having more guns in school. I do not think it is the answer to the problem. This problem has been going on since I was in high school 20 years ago, and there is no end in sight. And in light of congressional inaction and ineptitude, something needs to be done, and kids need to have a voice in this, because we are not doing it. We are not getting enough done fast enough. So I fully support both protests, both on March the 17th and coming up on April the 20th. And Trinity also as well, we fully support you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The board does not respond to questions in public comment.
I understand.
However, if you would like to speak to Dr. Baldwin, I'm sure he would make himself available to you. And at this time, I'm going to take a 5-minute break so our National Board Certified teachers can go home and reflect and plan for tomorrow. 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Call the meeting back to order. All the socialization is over. Sorry. Okay, the first item on the action agenda is Budget Amendment Number 6. And with Ms. Frisbee, it does say 5, doesn't it? Any board members have questions? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
North Buncombe High School Turf Replacement Project, authorization to award the contract. Mr. Fearley. Any questions from the board members?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Fearley.
So with both of these turf replacement projects, there's a credit of $10,000 per school if awarded both projects. Is that a typical practice? Should we have any concern about that? Any worries about that?
No.
That's,
It's, I would say it's not typical. They didn't have to do that. It would not have affected the award. We could not, if their base bid was higher than the next guy, that could not have been taken into account.
I didn't know that.
So it's kind of curious, but they have done work for us in the past, and it's kind of a gift.
Great. And the work they've done in the past has been good work.
It's been good. T.C. Robertson football field was done by them, and really happy with it, yeah.
And this is actually technically the next item, but while you're standing there, can you talk a little bit about why why Inca is so much more than North Buncombe?
The field is surrounded by a concrete curb that basically that's what they attach the carpet to, and that's what holds the soils. There's a little adjustment that needs to be made to the field because the field wasn't level. It's not real big, but they're going to have to tear out a fair bit of the curbing
At Inca.
at Anka and to level out the field. And then when we come and do the track, that's really the concern, is the track more than anything. We need to get that curb that's the inside of the track correct so that we can level out the track when we come back and do it. So that's why it costs more.
And then it will be level from here on so that it won't have to happen next time, presumably?
Right, right. When the fields were done originally, we just kind of followed the track. And it was what it was. And they're not all level, but they will be.
Any other questions from board members?
Just a clarification, the $10,000 credit to each school is not to each school, it's back into.
It reduces the contract amount.
It reduces the contract price. There's neither school is receiving $10,000 that, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Other questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the North Buncombe High School Turf Replacement Project, authorization to award contract.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve this contract.
Thank you, and I'll second it since it's my district. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next item on the agenda is Inca High School Turf Replacement Project, authorization to award a contract. Any other questions other than the ones that have already been asked? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
In a second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? T.C. Robertson Track Replacement Project, authorization to award the contract. Any questions for Mr. Fearley in this regard? Yes, sir?
Just, the cost of this is a good bit more than the turf on the football fields. Is this, did we have a problem with leveling here as well?
A huge problem
Long
here.
issue here, right?
It had a big problem, and they have to actually come back on the turf and peel back some of the turf to get everything to line up. And then outside of the track, you have ADA issues, and so it kind of magnifies itself beyond. So it's significantly more, because it's way off.
And can you talk about why the leveling is important? Is it
Well,
a safety
there's-
concern, or?
Well, you're running uphill or downhill, for one thing, and there is High School Athletic Association guidelines that this track falls outside of, and this will put it back within those guidelines.
Any other questions? Motion to approve,
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? T.C. Robertson, use of capital outlay athletic allotment for purchase of volleyball net system. Mr. Fearley, this is your night. Any questions for Mr. Fearley at this time?
I have one question. So I understand, and I appreciated the letter that was written talking about the quality and concerns of past systems not being adequate. I did notice in one of the bids it mentioned a limited lifetime warranty. I didn't see anything in the bid that we're going with that said that. Do they have a warranty for it?
I'm not sure I could answer that. No, this really is what the school wanted to do, and I've kind of passed it along.
Okay, I was just
along to
wondering,
you.
it may just be that third bid, it seemed like they broke down like every little thing, almost like a little sales pitch. So.
For whatever reason, they weren't comfortable with them, and maybe because they had much more experience with the other one, and it wasn't a huge amount of money, but because it's not the low bidder, it has to be brought before the board for your approval in order to not go with the low bidder.
Yeah, well, and you're right. I mean, it certainly doesn't fall into a big, huge difference in the quality if we are not having this discussion in another 2 years is a good thing. I was just curious. I just happened to notice how they had broken it down compared to the others, but I certainly don't play volleyball, so I'm going to go with whatever they say.
Right. Any other questions from board members? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Glen Arden Elementary drainage improvements, Mr. Wyatt. We're looking, are you going to come down and enlighten us? Do we have questions for Mr. Wyatt concerning the water at Glen Arden and drainage problems?
Madam Chair, I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
One is, what's the timeline for getting this fixed? How quickly do you think we can do it?
So there are some easements that have to be dealt with, and the construction phase can start basically immediately after that is taken care of.
So we don't know how long the easements will take?
We can get those produced pretty quickly, so it's just a matter of the homeowners signing them and us getting them recorded, but all homeowners have agreed to give us an easement.
My goal is April 1.
To have it done or to get started?
Get started.
And where is the funding for this coming from?
Capital contingency is what I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
So looking at the map, I was trying to read it. I know this street. I walk it quite a bit, but is there going to be during, I guess, it looks, obviously, the pipe's got to go, under the street. And trying to read it, it looks like you're taking out a little bit. Is it still going to be passable for
Yes, we will have to do a typical, I mean, we'll do half the road at one time, so it's
Okay.
always passable. You may have to be driving across gravel any particular time, but we will keep it open at all times.
Any concerns over the condition of that road causing some more problems that?
Well, our scope of work, we're going to repair larger than what we dig up, just to repair that section. But, yeah, the road is in disrepair.
Yeah. You don't think that'll hinder anything that you're doing, though?
No.
Okay.
Mr. White, will this impact at all any of the outdoor use areas for the students, such as playgrounds or anything like that? No impact
No,
at
it's
all?
all out of normal use area.
Okay, any other questions?
Just, sorry.
Go ahead, I have a couple.
So in terms of the capital contingency, is this a healthy chunk of it? Is this a small percentage of it? Do we still have some contingency?
We
if
do have some
anything's-
contingency. The exact dollar number, I don't know right off the top of my head, but it's, we have evaluated that to make sure we're okay.
So if something else like this comes up during the year, we should be okay, hopefully.
And this is 4042 money, correct?
That's correct.
Other questions? Do you-
I have a couple. You and I had a conversation. I didn't know where this retention pond was. Do we have, can you kind of give us some background or some, historical look? I'm not aware of other retention ponds do we have them on other school campuses?
Oh, yeah.
We do?
Lots of campuses, yes. And any new campus will have.
I know the new ones do, because I've seen those.
A lot of them are, the older campuses they were built during construction or used during construction, then filled in. Back in the day, that was kind of the process. You just filled them in when the job was, all the grass
So
was
there was
growing.
not an existing pond that was left behind?
That's correct, but we still have some ponds on some of our schools.
Okay. And how do we make sure, because I know just in the 20 years I've lived here, the Buncombe County stormwater drainage county ordinance laws and rules have changed, and I'm guessing because we're doing new things here and fixing a problem, we've got to be in line with that. Can you help us and the public understand how we're making sure we've done that, or are going to do that?
So, like you say, the stormwater that's collected on our property is affecting our neighbors. So by doing this work, we are reducing the effect on our neighboring property. Because, the impervious surfaces, the extra buildings that have been built, asphalt that's been added, the stormwater's got to go somewhere. So we're slowing it down with the detention pond, and then due to the fact that Glen Arden sits in a higher elevation than all the surrounding homes, this is the only way to solve the problem.
But will we be making sure we've taken into account Buncombe County's local government ordinances?
Oh, yes.
So that I just don't want us to have to do it twice.
Yes, that's why we've hired this engineer, that it meets all the requirements.
Perfect, thank you.
And we certainly want to be a good neighbor. Anybody have another question for Mr. White? Did you have a comment?
I just want to thank Mr. White. I think the board's aware of this, but Mr. White took some very extensive time and went out and met with these property owners, actually put boots on the ground, went to their homes, worked with them one-to-one. And we reference contingency. This is a great example of why we need contingency. And I think we're going to have this discussion further in maybe some bigger budget talks with local funding. But this is indeed a great example of an emergency. It's a big ticket item, but more importantly, I hope we all recognize symbolically, this is all about the reputation of Buncombe County Schools. So when additional renovation, repair, new buildings come on a piece of property, we only have so much control over Mother Nature. But if indeed the aftermath of that is some harm to our good neighbors around us, then we take responsibility for it. And I think that's part of the reputation of our school system. And I had an opportunity to sit in on several of those meetings, and Mr. Wyatt could not think of any better example of a staff member upholding the reputation of Buncombe County Schools. So from my standpoint, thank you very much.
The board certainly appreciates your work, Mr. Wyatt,
Ma'am.
even with those big boots on. I'd entertain a motion to approve,
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item on the agenda is thank you, Mr. Wyatt, is the consent agenda, the minutes for February 1st, 2018 open session, minutes for February 1st closed session, and then open session, minutes for February 14th special call session, academic summer school plans, personnel report with addendum, advisory council request to add a member, advisory council member change, policies for second reading, policy 1710, 4021, 7230, policy 1720, 4015, and 7225, policy 7100, policy 7410, policy 7631, policy 7635, policy 7810, policy 7920, and the quitclaim conveyance on Montford property to Asheville City. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
In your information agenda, you have your financial reports, you have your policies for first reading. Our National School Board Conference is April 7th through 9th, 2018. The Board of Education's next regular meeting will be April the 12th at 6:30 here in the Minitorium. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Could I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all for coming.